Welcome to the Renton Comic-Con Mighty Morphin and Time Force Power Ranger panel. So thank you guys for coming. My name is Steve Cardenas. I was known as Rocky DeSantos, aka the Red Ranger and the Blue Zeo Ranger. And this mic.
Hello.
We'll just share, yeah.
I'm Catherine Sutherland. I played Kat, the Pink
Hello.
Ranger, in Mighty Morphin. Oh, it's gone. Good. Zeo and Turbo.
And I'm Jason Font. I played the role of Wes Collins in Power Rangers Time Force, and Leon Kennedy in Resident Evil, for any of our Resident Evil fans out there.
Best season other than Mighty Morphin. Time Force.
Yep.
So, if you guys have never been to a panel before, a panel is just an opportunity for you guys to find out from us things that happen kind of behind the scenes, gives you a chance to ask questions that you were wondering about, anything Power Ranger related, anything, you know, in our lives related or whatever. So, just a chance for us to get to know one another. So, if you have any questions about anything, you can...
Now's your time.
Yeah.
There's a
now's-
microphone if you want to come
Yeah,
up
you
to
can
that.
step up.
Yeah, so we can hear you.
Hello,
It's
guys.
very echoey.
You guys want to raise your hand? I'll come up to you guys.
Hey,
Oh,
okay,
thank you.
we got a brave gentleman coming up to ask a question.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Kevin. How are you?
Good.
Good.
You were at the show last night, right? You helped?
No.
No?
No, I'm pretty sure I was
I
not.
can't see. Okay.
It's just a silhouette.
I see a silhouette.
I see a silhouette now. Can you see me now?
Yeah,
There it
we
is.
go. Now we can see you.
Trust
Nice
me,
to
I
meet
was
you.
working last night, so
He's like, I was not supposed to be here.
yeah.
Got me in
So
trouble.
anyway, my question is, when going into a role with something that's well known as the Power Rangers, what was your approach when you were first approached by, like, you know, there are certain iconic things that we all know as children and young adults. How did you approach going into that role?
I guess I was the first person to would ever do a cast change because there was the original team that came out in season 1, and then we did the replacements in season 2. I was familiar with the show, and I was very nervous actually about, you know, taking and filling somebody else's shoes because, you know, they had become so wildly popular, and they were very much in love not only with like the Ranger inside the costume but the character itself. So to replace that person, I knew there was going to be a lot of upset fans. So I was nervous about it at first, but all you can do is just hope that eventually they'll accept you, you know? So.
And in my situation, it hadn't aired in Australia yet, so I didn't really know anything. When I went for the audition, it was just another audition for me. And I actually didn't know I was replacing anybody at first. So Amy Jo, who was Kimberly, decided she wanted to leave. And it's always hard for people to accept someone new when they're like his situation with him, where they're so loved. So they kind of gave me a 3-month window that if I wasn't accepted, I was getting shipped back to Australia.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
How
There's
rude.
no pressure or anything.
How rude.
No pressure.
90-day trial period.
Yeah, it's a trial period. So once I realized how popular the show was, I went to the premiere for their first movie, and they were like rock stars, and it was very intimidating once I realized what I was walking into. So, yeah.
Their story is fascinating. It's pretty cool how that all played out, and it led to opportunities for me down the road. So by the time I got there, I had read for the role of the Red Ranger 3 different times. And at the time I was doing soap operas. I was in a soap opera called Passions for a little bit. But yeah, Passions in Port Charles. So we,
Just kidding.
all the way to the bank. So they brought me up the one season, and I read for the role, didn't get it. This next year they did it again, didn't get it. And by the third year, I'm thinking, oh, they keep bringing me up there. Should I even go? I was 27, which is a little bit older at the time than most of the cast was. Michael was 18. Aaron, they're all kids, and I was 27. And so once I actually booked the role, which was very exciting, I had gone back and watched a couple of episodes of each of the previous years. And they had like a whole room full of, at the time, VHS tapes. So I went back and watched a couple of episodes of each season to kind of get a feel for what the show was all about. And then I watched a couple of episodes, maybe one of the Super Sentai. I didn't want to see another actor play my role. For some reason, I don't like doing that. So I did look at previous stuff, and then other than that, I prepared for the role the same way I normally would. Yeah, but I definitely got a history or a chance to kind of check out the history of it because I didn't realize how big it was until I dove in.
Yeah, but it was probably different for you because you were like already an actor and stuff where, you know, like Mike, I had never done anything like that before, you know, any acting or anything. I heard about an audition on the radio, and I just went to an open casting call, and I was shocked when they called me back.
Did they say they wanted martial artists?
Yeah, they said they were looking for people that knew how to do martial arts and gymnastics.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, but that wasn't my situation. You had to either be a dancer or a gymnast or be able to do choreography.
right,
But it was more on the acting side.
Right.
But
yeah. So,
this
everything was
time
like,
it's major acting.
yeah, I'm running major acting now. That's true.
Any other questions?
Good question.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, there we go. Hi.
Hi. So where do you think each of your characters is at today, or what are they doing today?
Well, I think for mine, Wes is running the Silver Guardians with his father and in Southworth. So I would say he's probably doing that. In my mind, I think that Wes and Jen should have ended up together. And I think eventually, somehow, they would have through time travel and technology. So in my mind, they wound up together. She probably came back in the past. And that's probably the best way to end that one.
I think they pretty much made it that Tommy and Kat got married in the future. They've insinuated that a little bit. But I always thought of her doing something like serving the world somehow, United Nations or something. I don't know. She was such a environmental activist and good at everything. she was like nothing that she couldn't do. So maybe she's in the Peace Corps with the others.
Yeah, maybe. My character is selling oranges on the freeway at the 405 and Sepulveda. We'll fight monsters for food.
Right, right next to girls.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Who has the microphone?
Right there.
Oh, there we
Oh, there we
go.
go.
What was each of your best memory from working on the show?
Oh, so many memories. I always say the same thing though. I really loved it when we'd have Make-A-Wish kids or Starlight Foundation come to the set
Yeah.
and visit us. We visited hospitals a lot as well, and it was always so wonderful to be able to give back that way for
Yeah.
me. So,
That part is definitely very rewarding. That's
Yeah.
very cool, you know? It's like some little kids, their last dying wish is to meet you, you know? It's like,
yeah.
yeah.
It was hard, but
Yeah,
it was
it
also,
could be heartbreaking for a lot of times too, but
yeah.
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 Some of them you remember them, you know? But, yeah. It was a lot of fun though.
Yeah, I would have to piggyback on that. I mean, it was great to be a part of something that and have that kind of impact. I guess just to further it too, I mean, it was a lot of fun going to set every day. Our cast got along extremely well, so, you know, I always say they probably didn't even have to pay me. I can say that now. At the time, I had no money, so. But I enjoyed every day. It was definitely, we were not working, we were playing, and we had great relationships, so it was just fun. It was
They
fun.
called them the touchy-feely cast because they were so.
The huggy
They're
cast,
still
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
They're like very connected.
They're like
to
my
each
brothers
other.
and sisters, yeah.
It's very sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, another thing too, actually, is doing these conventions. To be honest, you know, like, you know, because after I left Power Rangers, you know, there wasn't social media yet, or even really internet yet, and I didn't realize there was such a strong fan base, you know, and that it stayed alive. And then we started doing these conventions, and all of you guys coming out and meeting us and telling us these stories about, you know, how we, you know, impacted your childhood some way, you know, and it's like, it's a great feeling, you know, so I love doing these conventions, traveling around and meeting all you guys. It's a lot of fun. So that's probably one of the other things about being on that show, you know, is just being able to interact with all of you now, because before you were little kids,
Yeah.
you know, and you didn't,
Yeah.
if ever we were to see you, you'd hide behind your mom.
Exactly.
Too shy to say anything to us, and now you guys get to come up and tell us what you thought about
And
it, so
it
it's
keeps
awesome.
going on because people watch it with their brothers and sisters or their nieces and nephews or
Now all
the
you guys are
children.
showing your kids.
and
you
so
know.
it keeps going though. It's really, really neat. Yeah. Yes.
I have a question for Steve.
Sure.
I was wondering if you could talk about how, like, after you were making the second Power Rangers movie and leading into the Turbo season,
Mhm.
about you being replaced by kid, like.
Right. Yeah, no, good question.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I was actually supposed to do the Turbo season and everything like that, and the movie and everything, but for personal reasons, I chose to leave the show. And so at that point, they were like, they said, oh, well, we need to rewrite the script then, and we need to figure out how we want to replace him. And so it was my choice to leave, so they had to change the script. I was actually contracted to be all the way through Turbo season.
Yeah.
How many seasons would that have been?
Hmm?
How many seasons would that have been?
That
Turbo?
To Turbo.
well, it was just one season.
Oh, one more?
But it
Yeah,
was
one
the
more
movie
season,
that
yeah.
he left.
But I did the movie too. But so they wrote me out in the movie, and then that's how they kind of told the story about why I wasn't in the 5th season.
Out of the TV, right here. Out of the TV series, did you guys ever have bloopers, outtakes, and stuff
Oh
like
my
that?
God.
Who would ever mess up?
Yes,
So many flubs.
and they started showing them in Zio.
Yeah, if you watch Zio at the end of the credits all the time, you can see all the outtakes and all the mess ups
It's
that we
fun.
did.
Really? That's,
Mhm.
I didn't know that.
It was really fun.
Yeah. Everybody
Have to-
getting their lines wrong.
Yeah, messing up your lines and, yeah.
I have a personal question. Was there romance in between the Rangers outside? I mean, you guys work together. You guys work together.
The answer is yes, there was.
It's a big family.
So that's all I can say. And it did involve me.
It didn't involve me.
Yeah, me either, actually.
No excitement.
No,
What are you laughing at?
I mean,
No, for me,
Involved
I know it's I mean, it's not very exciting or anything like that, but it's like when you work with somebody for like 12 hours a day, every single day, sometimes the last people you want to hang out with when work is done is them, So
Yeah,
there was no,
sisters.
it can become awkward, if you're romantically involved with people you have to work with all the time, so.
I also
So that's 2 no's and 1 yes.
One thing I did notice that you guys are a big family.
Yeah.
And Jason, you say you came in late in the game, but you're still a big family. All the Rangers, when you get together, it's like that episode with all of them were there, and it's a big family. It's super mega force, and it just to me it inspires a lot of people. Just to see you guys that you guys love each other.
Yeah, we do.
We're like a fraternity, man. I mean,
exactly
so
what
you
it
think about it, like having like 1 billion of people on the planet, and there's only like 100 of us.
Yeah.
There's only about 100 Rangers, over all the 25 years or whatever. So
And
to
whenever
be
we
a
meet,
part of that small group is pretty awesome.
yeah, and whenever we meet the new cast, because at MorphoCon, which is next year, if you guys are interested, it's a big Power Ranger convention in Anaheim.
That's the big one, yeah,
It's
that's the Super
huge.
Bowl.
And they have every ranger from the beginning of time to the most current, and they usually introduce the new season of the current rangers. And it's so funny because as soon as we meet them, it's just an instant, like, no, welcome to the family kind of a thing. And yeah, and they watched us growing up, so it's kind of odd. We're like the geriatric rangers. Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot of love for sure.
So I actually have a question, and it actually kind of involves the 3 of you, because I know Forever Red, there was supposed to be some involvement with Steve, and I think, Kat, you were one of the Beetleborg voices?
I did the voice of Tesla, the monster. Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the credits, like, Kat was in that?
I was actually supposed to come back for that. I think they just ended up showing a clip of me over the past that I did not get paid for. So, anyways, wah, wah, wah.
I was going to ask about that with everything that happened on set. Steve, where were you?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know what happened. They called me to do invited me to do the reunion, and then they just never called me back again
So
to
weird.
finalize it. I don't know what happened. It's still a mystery to me. But
Yeah.
if we were gonna have all the Red Rangers, they should have had me in there too.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I don't know. I wish I could answer that question, but
Yeah.
nobody
So all
else
the
seems to know
Rangers were
either.
teenagers. Did
Sorry?
you draw on any of your own personal experiences to bring more life and personality into the Rangers that you were portraying?
They definitely would ask us what we were good at or kind of what we were interested in. So I was a dancer, a ballet dancer, so my character always did ballet and sang, and the boys, you know, he's an amazing martial artist, and so they would write that in. They would definitely kind of flavor it with some of our. Where did you go? Oh, there you are. It's like, who am I talking to? A blank chair. Yeah, so they would definitely pepper our personality into it.
Yeah, I think like the backstory, like you know, my character had like several brothers and sisters, and he was like the one that took care of them all. And that's similar to me. I have a lot of brothers and sisters as well too, so came from a big family, single parent family. So I think they try to take some of what our real life was like, and add that in there.
Yeah, and then he's really arrogant, and so they made sure that they added that.
She's right. She's kidding.
I am kidding.
Yeah, no, I think for ours, we didn't talk about stuff like that.
No?
Although I would say that I played two characters in the show, as you guys know, but the one character was pretty true to form to who I am. Just kind of the way that they wanted him to be, the Wes character, not Alex. So other than growing up in a very wealthy family, that was, a lot of that character was me. And I think that's kind of what happened is that the years went by and I kept reading for it. Once this came, that, okay, well, the way this guy carries himself seems to be the kind of way that we want Wes to portray. So the Alex stuff was a lot farther from my real character than Wes.
And because you were two characters, you got paid twice too, right?
I got paid twice.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
I was the Lucky Ranger.
Yes.
I have to talk to my agent about that. Yeah.
Hello there, another question for you. Can you talk to me about the logistics of working in a costume, trying to work in a costume, voice, and did you always have to do your voice in a costume, or was there like voiceover work?
Yeah, we, I know, it's as disappointing as this is going to sound. Most of the time when the helmets were on, and the suit, and wearing the suit and doing all those fight scenes, it was not us. Because they had the Japanese stunt crew who would do all that for us for a couple reasons. One, the Alpha Stunt team, those guys are way better than any of us could ever dream of being. They're amazing, incredible acrobats and martial artists, you know, and they really made us look good. But the other reason that they would do that is because they could get the show done faster, because they would have two units working at the same time. Second unit would be doing all the fight scene stuff with the Japanese stunt team in the costumes, and then we'd be filming all the stuff in our regular clothes. So you crank out the shows a lot faster that way, and they can also sort of match. The Alpha Stunt team knew what all the Japanese footage looked like from the Sentai series, so they were better equipped to do that for us. They made us look good, but then all we would do is we'd go in later and with ADR, with the voiceover stuff in the studio, and we would do our voices to the motions of the action that the Japanese stunt crew was doing. So yeah, good question. Yeah.
I was wondering, you guys, are we ever going to get a Blu-ray DVD version of the movie or of the show?
I'm sure it's the 25th year anniversary next year, so I'm sure there'll be a lot of things like that becoming available, more things for them to sell. The Legacy line, as you've seen, they've started to release, they're releasing them out of order to keep you guys on your toes. Like they released Space and Psycho Rangers before Zeo, but Zeo's coming out next month.
When is the Time Force coming out? Just
I do know, but I can't say.
Do you really?
Yeah, they shared some things with us when we went to Savant.
So they're re-releasing the Legacy stuff in...
They're doing it out of order,
into like stores, you mean?
Yeah, so into stores. So
Sounds like
Bandai
some new
is kind
Instagram
of,
stuff for me.
Yeah, they're doing it just all over the place. Like, I don't know what, I think it's just to keep the fans excited and not knowing what's coming next. But I think they're releasing the Legacy Morpher for Zeo is coming out next year. I think maybe the Megazord as well. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming next
One
year.
thing that's
a lot of cool
very
stuff
good
coming.
at is
Very
doing
good
all
at
their
it.
merchandising and
Yes.
marketing. They're geniuses with all that.
Yes, they are. They are.
A question over here.
Yes.
Do you ever get tired of wearing the same color?
Yes. Yeah, I didn't wear pink for years after that.
Me either.
Yeah.
I didn't wear pink either.
Yeah. It's such a good color on you though. Yeah.
Steve wears pink on Saturday.
Good question. questions. Anybody else?
Yeah, really good questions.
Oh, he's shy over there.
So, just wondering what you guys thought of the latest Power Rangers movie.
I loved it.
No, please go.
I thought it was great. I loved the whole, that Rita and Zordon were Rangers before. I thought that was a really good plot twist. And I thought all the actors were great. My favorite was RJ, the Blue Ranger. I thought he was
Yeah, he's very
amazing,
good, yeah.
amazing. He really stole the movie for me. I thought Rita was really scary, and they definitely went more on a darker kind of thing, which I know a lot of fans were upset about because it's a big divide from how the show is. You know, the show's still on and it's still very campy, and then you've got this kind of darker movie that's going for an older audience. So that was a little bit in conflict, but I really enjoyed it. My kids loved it. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was, I knew about how the show originated, but I think it really walked you through, if you hadn't, in my mind, if you don't really know the show, it really walked you through who these people are, how they got there. So I think they spent some good time developing the characters, even though it was not as much action, I think, in the beginning as some people wanted. It's so important, especially if you're going to do, from what I understand, 6 movies, that at the beginning you really break down who these people are and how they got there. So you care about the character and you know where they come from, and then you can go more into the fighting side of it. But so I thought they did a good job. I love the setup at the end. This Breakfast Club, Tommy Oliver thing, I thought that was cool. And I like that it's darker. I think that that's a good angle to take as the audience grows. I'm getting off technical right now. But as the audience grows, I think that's good that they make it a little bit darker so you keep that older audience, because then they'll bring in the younger generation. So I think that works pretty well for them.
Yeah.
What was your favorite monster that you defeated?
Pikachu.
Rancid.
Pikachu. No, was Pikachu in Power Rangers? No.
Could have been. Oh.
Rancic for me.
So many.
Yeah, we had Rancic, which I liked. I thought he did a great job. So Vernon Wells played Rancic. Good question. How about you guys?
Yeah, Lord Zed, I think he was so cool, you know, he was so unique, because he was not any monster that was ever in the Super Sentai series. He was fully created just for Power Rangers, and you know, he was so scary. Like, they had to actually make him kind of comical. That's why they did the whole Rita and Zed wedding and everything, because the kids were like scared of him before.
How did he die?
This skinless like monster.
brain was showing, right?
With his brain moving around and stuff. It was pretty, yeah, he was pretty creepy.
And he had the suit was because they wear them so much they get really nasty. And I worked a lot with them in the beginning when I came on the show, and he would be like pointing his finger, and it would be, oh, hold on a second, it's like falling off, deteriorating. It was funny, so he wasn't that scary to me. But he didn't actually die. Rita and Zed were like pushed out by the Machine Empire when Zeo came on, so they didn't actually even explain what happened to them. They just got banished, and a stronger force came and took over. I liked Ivan Ooze, even though that wasn't a monster I defeated, but I thought he was awesome in the first movie.
And it was funny too, when we talk about the Machine Empire, you know, the Queen Machina or whatever, that's Alex Borstein, the voice of Lois Griffin. She was on.
Really?
Yeah,
she was.
And Bryan Cranston, he got his start on Power Rangers doing monster voices.
Yeah, and now he's Zordon.
Yeah, now he's Zordon in the movie. Yeah,
Funny.
Yeah, it's interesting. There were a lot of people that got their start. You know?
Well, who was your favorite monster? Do you have one?
He's like, oh, I wasn't prepared to answer that.
Think of one? I put you on the spot, I'm sorry.
Pikachu.
I don't know.
That's okay.
That's okay.
You can think about it and tell us when we go back over
Yeah.
there to the table.
There we go.
Did you guys get to keep any of your like movie props, like helmets and stuff like that?
We didn't get to keep
Nothing.
them. I have a lot of stuff.
It just showed up in my bag. I don't know. I only had a pink beret. That's all I had. And they did give us our communicators, so I do have that, and my PowerPoint. But that was it. And then some things happened to appear as gifts from people that I can't talk about.
Yeah, by the time we got there, they were used to that little game that was being played, so they had stuff on lockdown. They were very specific on like, look, this is not going to happen. You're not going to take these things. So we were heavily warned and communicated with ad nauseum as we near the end of our season. They did give us our wardrobe that we wore by the day, so my red shirt and my khaki pants, which I wore every day. So
You wore the same thing every day?
they had us in the same. Well, they had 5 different changes of the course, but the same look all the time.
Really?
They wanted us in the same thing. So we got our wardrobe and our morphers, but the helmets and the suits and stuff like that, no, not at all.
Got your morphers?
Got my morpher.
Was there any moments when like you found yourself out of your depth, like just like a crazy stunt or like being asked to do some like sing or something, like just you kind of looked at it and went, oh man,
Yeah,
Like-
that stupid Angel Grove High song I had to sing. That was, I still get asked to sing that, and I'm not singing it, so don't worry.
Oh.
Don't ask me. No, that was torture, that song.
Yeah, the show was like so cheesy and campy that some of the stuff I was like, oh really? You gotta do that. I remember one we did like, what was it, like we were like runway models or something like that. And they had me in these like goofy like golf pants with this weird like hat. I'm like-
Yeah, that's
I told
right.
Doug, I'm like, I'm not freaking wearing that. And then he's like, oh yeah, you are.
They would have the monster, you
You
don't
wanted that?
understand. They would have the monster and some of the Japanese footage, and they would have to create an episode around the footage they had. So they would be like, oh, this monster looks like a pita sandwich, so we're going to write a Tommy eats a pita, and it goes in his stomach, and we were like, okay, we'll go with it. Yeah, weird. There was one monster Johnny always laughs about that looked like in the Sentai footage, it peed on people, the monster, and they couldn't do that in the American show, so they made. I don't even know what they created with that one. That would have been interesting to see, but they may not have even used it eventually. But yeah,
So weird.
funny.
He really
He
peed on people?
really did pee on people. In the Japanese.
That's a
one.
form of combat I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
Are all you guys still practicing martial arts even after your shows?
Yeah, I still do. I did Taekwondo probably now for like 30 years, and for the past 15 years I've been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I owned studios in Los Angeles for years. I had a school in Burbank that I just recently sold. So I've been teaching pretty much my whole life ever since I was a little kid. And when I was like 14 years old, I was teaching kids classes, in martial arts, and that's pretty much been what I've been doing my whole life.
And I wasn't a martial artist, I was a dancer, so I just looked like I kind of knew what I was doing as some kind of... so the stunt team kind of worked with us on set and taught us, we were good at picking up choreography, so they would help us with that, but the Japanese guys were the ones that really did the amazing stuff.
Yeah. I think for us too, I mean, I trained Jeet Kune Do for a few years, way before the show, but the show, getting the role had nothing to do with that. They kept us, by the time we got there, the show was union, so they kept us way away from any of that stuff. I mean, we weren't allowed to, they were very careful with us on set. So I didn't have to do any of that. And after the show's over, in terms of martial arts, no. Yeah, I work out all the time, but nothing in the martial arts world.
Does anybody have one last
How
question?
about those 3 girls in the back right there? They seem very...
Yeah,
The one with the one in the middle, I feel she wants to ask me a question.
Burning
About the sea
desire.
animals or starfish, I don't know. Go ahead, girls, this got to be a good question.
It's so mean.
These are...
That's my besties back there.
That's their besties, so they have some
Yeah.
good stories on Miss Cat up here.
Yeah. I'm sure they can say some behind the scenes stuff.
Zip it.
All right, yeah, go ahead.
We have one more question.
There we go.
There we go.
Being in the Power Rangers world family, do you ever get tired of fans recognizing you on the street and say, hey, can I bug you for your autograph?
Doesn't happen that much anymore. No, not to me. No. In fact, sometimes when I'm traveling with Nakia, they'll recognize her, and I'm like, oh, hello. She goes, oh, she was the Pink Ranger, and they're like, Kimberly? No. Do I look like Kimberly? Nothing like her. Yeah.
I never do, you know. I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for you guys, we'd be nothing anyway. So
yes, it's true.
And that's the truth. So yeah, happy to do it all the time. You know, it's great. So I'm always appreciative.
Yeah, myself as well. It happens more now than it did years ago, probably because of social media and my overposting. So, but no, it happens a fair amount, ironically, and my kids love it. They think it's pretty cool. So, but I'm always happy to do it. I always feel I'm very fortunate to be in this position. So, whenever someone wants an autograph or a picture, I'm happy to do it. Happy to do it. Matter of fact, I even reposted on my Instagram just so they get a little shout out, you know.
All right, I'd like to thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you guys so much.
We'll be back at the tables, guys. If you have any more questions, come on over.
And if you guys want to go to the Pavilion Theater, they have just enough time. They're still going to do some signings, signings and photos.
Thanks, guys. I'm leaving at 3, so come and visit before then.
Yeah, right now would be the best time to just run over there.
See you at the park.